London scientists testing a program that Scituate barcodes of food products in the supermarket for the presence of components that cause diabetes and heart disease. This app can be installed on a smartphone or a special bracelet. Before use, patients should undergo a DNA test, which will determine how vulnerable they are to sugar, salt, carbohydrates, or caffeine, says the newspaper. If you have the gene for obesity, saturated fats are important, adds Tumazu. If you have the gene for diabetes of the second degree, the culprits are saturated fats and salt. The app now checks for patients with diabetes of the second degree. However, he also appeared on the BBC programme, London Inside Out London, where an English family commended it. In program Samantha Countries was conducted Spencer, which is genetically predisposed to diabetes, said the app, gave her a second wind, allowing to change the diet. The bad, which is due to radiation suffer inflammation of the thyroid gland, relied in his research on the archives that opened after the Revolution of Dignity and on his own memories, the newspaper writes. In your master tradition, it shows how the disaster revealed the shortcomings of the Soviet system and became a catalyst of Gorbachev's policies of glasnost and nationalist movements in Ukraine, Belarus and Moldova. The most terrible is its description of how the radiation is moving in the food chain. Not wanting to sacrifice production targets, Soviet planners ordered the slaughterhouse mixing of radioactive and clean meat. And they were not the only ones who have so neglected the health of people. Even today, Brown met with gathering berries in the forests in northern Ukraine, which is mixed, hot, and clean the berries so that the fruit was responsible radiation regulations export. The ice area the size of Great Britain and Ireland disappeared from the Bering Sea in February, said scientists of the US National Data Center of Snow and Ice. The disappearance of the ice has consequences far outside the Arctic, the publication adds. The sunlight, which had rejected the ice, is now absorbed by water, which increases the temperature of the ocean and contributes to global warming. Water molecules bind to the surface of the moon until the temperature increases in the afternoon, says the newspaper. Then they, thermal desorbers, and jump, until you find a fairly cold place in which are deposited again on the surface. Study author Amanda Hendricks says, these results help us understand the water cycle for months and in the end will allow us to explore water availability for people arriving there as part of future missions. Moon water could potentially be used to manufacture fuel, shields from radiation or thermal management, she adds. If these materials will not have to start from the ground, it will make future missions cheaper. Another researcher, Drive. Kurt Rutherford, said that the study is particularly important because NASA plans to return to the moon in the next decade. Previously, scientists hypothesized that the ionized hydrogen from solar winds can be a source of water on the moon, the newspaper said. However, according to this hypothesis, the amount of water on the moon should be reduced, while a new study shows the opposite.